Welcome into Better and Green. Today we're talking about, is Sean McDermott on the hot seat with another early exit? Since 2017, when Sean McDermott took over, it has been all early exits with only one time making it to the AFC Championship game, but they lost to Kansas City. Everything else has been losses in the divisional round or earlier or not making the playoffs at all. Not very frequent for these Buffalo Bills, but it has happened under his tenure. Ethan, what do you think about these Buffalo Bills? Is Sean McDermott, is he on the hot seat?
Tough to be on the hot seat there in Buffalo, where it is seems to be constantly negative degrees at that stadium.
Right.
But he's got to be, right. He's got to be. I mean, you don't coach in the NFL, especially Buffalo. Let's backtrack.
Mm-hmm.
Buffalo went to 4 straight Super Bowls, lost them all, have yet to win a Super Bowl in their franchise history. You can't repeat that.
No.
And he's not even getting to the Super Bowl. He's
Nope.
getting close. And then,
Sometimes.
his daddy comes in, which I know you enjoy me saying that, but
I do. A lot.
Patty the daddy comes in
Hey!
and tucks him into bed every single year. And this year, I don't even think, personally, I don't think
Right.
Patty's going to have a chance to tuck him into bed because I think Baltimore does it for him. To me, you have to win the big games, especially you can't waste Josh Allen's prime. And I think he's just probably now the last 2 years getting into that prime of his athletic career. At this point, you've been this good for so long, you have to take that next step. And to me, if you're not taking the next step, you're being held back. And the coaches, to me, has to be on the hot seat here. So I do think if another early exit, whether it be to Buffalo, whether it be to Kansas City, or God, if it's to Houston somehow, yeah, he'll be gone. What do you think? I think it might get a little hot for him if he doesn't pull out a win or two here.
This is a tough question. When you pose it to me, I love it because do I think he should be? It's like, they're taking the first and second seed kind of continuously throughout his tenure. Most of the time, more good than bad. But at what point, like you said, do you need to take that next step? And one of the things that tells me that he's not on the hot seat, at least for this year, I think if they lose this game against Baltimore, you have to have the conversation, not about firing him, but the expectations for next year. And what happens if they collapse again. But I think this year, I think he's safe for next year. My concern is you fire him to get that next guy, take you to the next level, but who are you going to get? And that is
Right.
where I'm a little nervous right now. I think when you do take somebody, I don't think it can be a Vrabel. I don't think it can be a Belichick. I don't think it can be a McDermott. I think you need to get an offensive-minded guy. Like if they could land Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions this year, you do it. I don't think they will because I think that the Lions are going to go further than the Bills do. And like I said, I think the Bills retain Sean McDermott for this year, but I think they need an offensive-minded coach. And then once again, Ben Johnson feels like a for sure thing, right? If you get a head coach that flops, then how many times have we seen, no matter how good the quarterback is, now you start dealing with scheme changes. They start changing the coaches over and over and over again. We see that constantly with who? The Raiders. We see that with all these bottom tier teams, with the Carolina Panthers, the New York Jets getting rid of Saleh. I don't know who they go to. I think they need an offensive minded guy. I don't think Sean McDermott is the dude for them, but who do you go to is my big question.
Yeah, and so here's my biggest piece, I think, working against Sean McDermott. Outside of the flashy signing of Stephon Diggs, which I've been highly critical of, what has he done to change the team? It's been the Josh Allen show for years.
Right.
Outside of Stephon Diggs, yeah, James Cook is finally getting a running game going in Buffalo. Receivers. I mean, outside of Diggs, what name do you have in the last 5, 6, 7 years in Buffalo? You don't have any. And
No.
I think at some point, I think that works against him. At some point, you need to get Josh Allen that help that he needs. Offensive line is manageable. They're not great. Defense, I mean, you and I have talked about all year.
Going back.
You're starting Damar Hamlin. I mean, Dude's
Your
been
defense
okay.
is on life support.
They're better now.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right. My bad.
But yeah, I just, the changes don't seem to quite be there for me, which I think could hurt him. Also, you just see this more in other sports. While you were talking, I was trying to rattle my brain and think maybe it's baseball, hockey. I can't really think, but like I want to say the Yankees. And don't quote me on this, but I feel like in other sports, and we're just going to say all of them, hockey, baseball, basketball, you can make the playoffs 10 years in a row, but if you're not taking the next step, I think they're pretty quick to let you go and move on. Yeah, I don't know. You don't see it quite as much in the NFL. So am I willing to bet that McDermott's gone if they're another early playoff exit? No, I'm not. But yeah, maybe like what you said, a serious discussion has to be had this offseason. I think moves need to be made. You have to attack free agency. You have to win the draft. I mean, you got to give Josh some help because his days are numbered. He still has many good years ahead of him if all goes well. But, at this point, what's he have to show for it?
It was going well for Andrew Luck, too, for a while. And then it came crashing down.
Then he put his sidearm to rest permanently.
Yes. What percentage of the blame do you put on the GM for not surrounding this team with the pieces they need? And part of me thinks, like, as much as we dog on their pieces, I think Dalton Kincaid's better than we've seen. I really do. I think that, they got Amari Cooper, who's been a complete non-factor. And is that just because McDermott is just a defensive coach that can't utilize Josh Allen to get this game? I mean, congratulations. You guys blow out these terrible teams. They are the only team to beat the Chiefs this year, so props for that. But also...
Hey, no shame in losing to Buffalo this season.
No shame. No, exactly. They're a good team, and they show it, and they blow out the bad teams. But then, like, that big loss to Baltimore, like, that's just kind of scary. It's like, okay, you got it done against Patrick Mahomes, but like you said, Patty the Daddy sent you guys home 3 years in a row. Not in a row, but 3 years of them playing each other. You have Burrow for the future. I'm going to say this, too. You got Burrow for the future. You got CJ Stroud if he takes that next step. You've got Patrick Mahomes. You've got Lamar Jackson. All these dudes are in the AFC. They're not going anywhere. They're all young. Right. You have to win now when Josh Allen's young. I don't know if McDermott's able to offensively get by those guys.
Right. You have Herbert.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence, if he ever gets a competent coach.
Mm-hmm. Shedeur Sanders on the Raiders.
Yeah. Anthony Richardson playing in his 26th football game ever starting next year.
Yes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I hope it doesn't come to that point. I do like McDermott. Also, you brought up the GM. I have to bring. What did he say last year? Was it after their playoff exit? Wasn't he like talking smack to the other team? Or
he probably
something?
Was.
Something ridiculous. Okay, let me look it up quick.
Yeah,
I'll let you have the floor, but it was something. Bean is his last name, I think.
Brandon Bean.
What did he say
That's
last year?
That's a fake name, too, by the way. Brandon Bean.
Brandon Bean Salty. That's what I'm going to type in here. What'd he say?
I mean, I'd be salty, too, if I was tucked in early.
Let's
just
see.
Like a toddler. He's not one to take his naps, bro.
Salty. Okay, no. Salty does not work. It picks it up as salary. I cannot find this quote to save my life. I'll try to add it in the comments if I can find it, but it was some petty shit. I do remember that. It was just like, what in the hell? So, yeah, maybe it is on him and not McDermott, but we know how that goes. Head coach always gets the knife.
Yes. The
Bills Robert
GM. Yeah, you're right. Dude, shame on the Jets for that, man. You don't need to fire your owner. You don't need to fire your head coach. That's terrible.
Right.
I think the quote you're looking for was, "Nah, you can have him," and that's about the Chiefs for Xavier Worthy.
Did he say that?
They traded the pick for us to get Worthy.
Yeah, that's true. It's true.
And they also traded us the pick to get Patty the Baddie.
True.
Patty the Daddy.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and find that, but I just remember reading it and I'm like, that's tough. Wah, wah.
Yeah, right. Hey, it's become a commonplace now on that side of New York. Unfortunately. What do
Yeah.
you guys think in the comments? Let us know. Ethan's gonna find that quote and put it in the comments. Let us know what you guys think about Sean McDermott. Is he safe? Does he last this year? Does he last next year? I don't know. I think if we have 2 early exits, I think we're gonna be talking about it next year even more seriously than this year. I think it's possible he gets fired. I don't think it happens, but next year, ooh, buddy, if you don't win now, it's gonna be tough sledding.
Especially if they lose Joe Brady, offensive coordinator, this offseason. A lot of pressure on that hire and on that team next year.
Yes,
But
sir.
a lot of football to be played this year. We'll see how she goes.
Or is there?
Or is there?
Thank you for watching this episode of Better and Green. If you'd like to see some of our recent videos, make sure you click them over there and subscribe to our channel to see more content from us in the future.